In the heart of the Wild West, where every choice carves a destiny, a young woman arrives in Red Rock carrying nothing but a worn letter and a past she refuses to run from. But when a hardened rancher challenges her with 3 simple words, pull it down, finish it, she steps into a trial that will test her strength, her courage, and everything she believes about herself. What begins as a struggle against broken timber soon becomes a battle against the limits of her own spirit. Every step she takes pulls her deeper into a legacy she never expected, and toward a fate she never imagined. Stay with us as this journey unfolds, a story of grit, transformation, and the moment one choice changed her life forever. If you love powerful Western tales filled with heart, mystery, and destiny, make sure you watch till the end and subscribe for more Wild West stories. The sun was beginning its slow descent over Red Rock, painting the dusty streets in streaks of orange and gold. Clara's horse trudged wearily through the main street, hooves kicking up small clouds of dirt. She had traveled far and the journey had left her tired, yet there was a fire in her eyes that wouldn't be dimmed. The town felt quiet, almost holding its breath, as if it were waiting to see what this newcomer would do. She pulled her wide-brimmed hat lower against the sun and dismounted near the old ranch on the outskirts. The letter she carried clutched tightly in her hand. The ranch stood like a sentinel of the past, its wooden frame weathered but sturdy, a testament to years of hard work and grit. Clara approached cautiously, each step crunching on the gravel path. She could feel her heart thudding in her chest, a mixture of nerves and determination. Inside, the ranch smelled of leather, horse sweat, and the faint tang of wood smoke, familiar scents that reminded her of the stories her father had told about this very place. The rancher appeared in the doorway, tall and imposing, his eyes scanning her up and down with quiet scrutiny. His face was lined by years of sun and toil, yet there was an unmistakable sharpness to his gaze. "You're late," he said, his voice rough but carrying an underlying note of curiosity. Clara swallowed and extended the letter toward him. I'm here to learn. My father, he wanted me to finish what he started," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The rancher took the letter and studied it in silence, the faint creak of the porch under his boots filling the tense space between them. He finally looked up, his eyes locking onto hers. "Pull it down. Finish it," he said simply, his tone carrying authority, challenge, and a hint of expectation. "Let's see if you've got what it takes." Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. She nodded, determination hardening in her chest. Whatever lay ahead, she would meet it head on. This was more than a task. It was the start of a journey that would define her, and perhaps change her life forever. Clara followed the rancher to the back of the barn, where the collapsed hayloft loomed like a forgotten relic of past failures. The smell of dust, old hay, and weathered wood filled the air. She hesitated for a moment, her hands tightening around the rough rope she'd brought, taking in the sheer scale of the work ahead. The rancher didn't speak, his eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. It was as if he was silently saying, "Show me what you're made of." She set to work, lifting broken beams and dragging debris across the dirt-strewn floor. Her muscles screamed in protest. Her hands blistered and raw from gripping splintered wood. Sweat dripped from her brow and soaked her shirt. But every time she thought of giving up, she remembered her father's letter, the legacy she had come to honor, and the quiet determination that had brought her all the way to Red Rock. The sun climbed higher, baking the air and casting long, shifting shadows across the barn. Clara's movements became a rhythm: lift, pull, place, secure, each motion a step closer to finishing what had once seemed impossible. The rancher occasionally stepped forward, repositioning a beam or showing her a trick to balance a heavy load, but mostly he watched, letting her struggle and triumph in equal measure. Hours passed, marked by the creak of timber and the thud of falling wood. Clara's arms shook with fatigue, her back ached, yet she refused to stop. With one final effort, she heaved the last stubborn beam into place, sweat stinging her eyes, muscles trembling, but her determination unbroken. She stepped back, chest heaving, heart pounding, and for a moment the barn was silent except for the distant call of a hawk outside. The rancher's stern face broke into a rare, approving smile. "You've done it," he said simply, his voice carrying a weight that made her chest swell. "You've finished what needed finishing." Clara allowed herself a small, triumphant smile, the exhaustion giving way to exhilaration. She realized in that moment that the work wasn't just about the barn. It was about proving to herself that she was capable, that she could face impossible odds and emerge victorious. The sun dipped lower on the horizon, painting the barn in golden light, and Clara knew she had taken her first true step toward reshaping her own destiny. Clara stood in the loft, her fingers brushing over the smooth, newly repaired beams. The morning sun poured in through the windows, catching dust motes that danced in the golden light. She could hear the soft stirrings of the ranch awakening below, the low neigh of a horse, the distant clink of tools being set down. For a moment everything was still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The rancher stepped beside her, the gravel crunching under his boots. He didn't need to say much. The pride in his eyes said it all. "You've done more than fix a building," he said quietly. "You've rebuilt your own story, made it yours." Clara looked down, seeing her reflection in a small puddle of water on the floor, a woman she barely recognized, yet one she was proud to become. She thought of all the doubts, all the exhaustion, all the moments she had wanted to give up. And yet here she was, standing taller than she had ever imagined. The town might have seen her as an outsider yesterday, but today, they would see her as a force, someone who could shape her own destiny, who could command respect with grit and determination. The rancher placed a steady hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "This ranch," he said, "it's more than land and timber. It's history, it's work, it's life. And now it's yours too." Clara's heart swelled, a mix of relief, pride, and an almost dizzying sense of possibility. She finally understood that her fate wasn't something handed to her. It was something she had forged, beam by beam, choice by choice. As she stepped down from the loft ready to face the day, Clara felt a sense of belonging she had never known. The past was behind her, the future was hers to claim. And in that quiet sunlit moment, she realized she had changed her life forever, not by luck, but by finishing what needed finishing. The ranch, the town, even the wind that whispered through the fields seemed to acknowledge her triumph. She was no longer just a visitor. She was part of the land, part of the legacy, and entirely in control of her own story.